Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a truly wild, unfolding story, breaking down the complex details so we can get right to the core of what actually happened. We're looking at an absolutely unprecedented internet phenomenon that just completely shook up India's digital landscape. We're exploring how a single, offhand, controversial remark by a top official accidentally sparked a massive youth-led movement that was brilliantly disguised as a joke. What started as just a few harmless memes quickly snowballed into a massive digital force with millions of followers, a highly serious manifesto, and ultimately a really severe crackdown from the state. So let's explore exactly how the Cockroach Janta Party came to be.
Okay, let's dive into this inciting incident. According to our source material, the spark that lit this entire fire happened on May 15th during the Supreme Court hearing. The Chief Justice of India, Surya Kant, allegedly made a statement referring to unemployed youth as cockroaches and parasites in society. Now, he did clarify later that his words were misinterpreted and were specifically aimed at fake degree holders in law and media, not the youth in general. But honestly, the damage was totally done. The source highlights that this alleged statement landed at literally the worst possible moment, right against a backdrop of severe national exam paper leaks, like the NEET exam, widespread unemployment, and rising inflation. The youth were already incredibly frustrated, and this was just the match in the powder barrel.
And that immense frustration? Well, it found a highly unconventional outlet. A 30-year-old Indian student studying at Boston University named Abhijit Dilake just sent out a simple tweet. He wrote, "What if all cockroaches come together?" And with that, he created a satirical social media page called the Cockroach Janta Party, or CJP. Now, normally internet memes kind of just fade out in a few days, right? But look at this number, 22 million. The source emphasizes that this meme response just organically exploded. It generated an Instagram account with over 22 million followers in a shockingly short span of time. It grew so fast, it actually surpassed the follower count of the country's actual ruling party. It's potentially one of the fastest organically growing social media accounts in history.
Now, initially, this was purely a harmless internet joke, and it had incredibly absurd membership criteria. To join this satirical party, you didn't need to align with some complex political ideology. The membership requirements were literally just three things. Are you lazy? Are you online for hours? And do you identify as a cockroach? That's the whole shebang. According to the source, your religion, your caste, your gender, none of that mattered. If you met those three humorous requirements, you were in. People were having a blast, putting on AI-generated cockroach costumes, making songs, just having a laugh. But underneath all that humor, something much deeper was starting to brew.
Section 1. Memes meet real demands. So how did a simple joke snowball into a serious vessel for genuine youth frustration? Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the stark contrast between the meme's silly origins and its highly serious manifesto. The CJP essentially captured the profound anger of a generation that was feeling totally crushed by systemic issues, paper leaks, and poor working conditions. They felt they were being treated like insignificant cockroaches, so they just owned the label. They released a 5-point manifesto targeting core systemic issues. They demanded that retiring chief justices shouldn't get Rajya Sabha seats, aiming right at judiciary independence. They called for the arrest of the chief election commissioner if legitimate votes were deleted. They demanded 50% women's reservation in parliament, the cancellation of media licenses for billionaire monopolies, and a massive 20-year election ban for politicians who switch parties. The memes were just the wrapper, but the content inside, it was a razor-sharp critique of the establishment.
And the resonance of those demands? It translated into staggering real-world impact. To really give you an idea of the scale here, the source notes that the CJP launched a petition demanding the education minister's resignation over those NEET exam paper leaks. A video promoting this petition gathered over 10 million views in a single hour. Let me just repeat that because it's insane. 10 million views in 1 hour. And within a very short time, over 600,000 people had officially signed the petition. Millions of frustrated students had finally found a unified, massive platform to make their voices heard.
Section 2. The government crackdown.
Whenever a decentralized movement gets this kind of traction, a reaction is pretty much inevitable. Let's move to and see how this builds on a highly compressed timeline. On May 15th, the Chief Justice makes the alleged quote. By May 16th, the CJP is formed. Just 5 days later, on May 21st, the official CJP Twitter account is totally blocked in India. And by May 23rd, the creator noted multiple hacking attempts, the website got shut down, and they lost access to all CJP platforms. This rapid escalation perfectly highlights the wild juxtaposition of an internet joke turning into a completely blocked movement in just over a week. State authorities were definitely not treating this like a harmless joke anymore.
The official justification for this block is actually quite revealing. Our source reports that the official claim was based on an Intelligence Bureau input, which labeled this meme page a threat to national security. The explainer highlights a pretty profound irony here. The creator argues that while actual systemic corruption, major exam fraud, and election irregularities somehow don't threaten national security, an internet meme page of kids calling themselves cockroaches suddenly does. It definitely raises some significant questions about the state's priorities and its apparent fear of collective youth organization.
Section 3. Threats and Conspiracy Theories. But blocking the accounts was literally just the first step. Things quickly escalated into full-blown defamation campaigns. And this brilliantly illustrates the mechanics of the disinformation campaign that was launched against the movement. A narrative was heavily pushed, even amplified by a union minister, claiming that the CJP account was actually a foreign operation and that 49% of its followers were from Pakistan. However, the creator quickly debunked this by sharing internal analytics and screen recordings, which, only the actual account owner can see, proving that over 94% of their massive follower base was undeniably Indian.
Furthermore, when that whole Pakistani follower narrative fell flat, a new claim popped up. Oh, the followers are just automated bots. The source impartially reports some comparative data from third-party analysis websites used to check these exact claims. Now, while these sites aren't 100% perfectly reliable, the very same tool that estimated the CJP meme account had about 8% bot followers also estimated that a prominent ruling party leader's account had over 19% fake followers. So, this data pretty effectively neutralized the manufactured narrative that the movement was just some massive foreign bot farm.
As those data-driven attacks failed, the tactics got deeply personal. The source summarizes 3 very specific steps taken to intimidate the creator. First, they spun his completely public past employment with an opposition political party into some massive secret scandal. Second, IT cells started alleging he was an ISI-paid asset and part of a foreign deep state plot designed to weaken democracies. And finally, and absolutely most alarmingly, his personal WhatsApp number was leaked, and he started receiving direct death threats. Online trolls even tracked down his family residing in Maharashtra, sending them physical threats and deeply intimidating messages.
Section 4. A pattern of suppression.
The source makes a really critical point here. This isn't just an isolated incident about a quirky meme page. It fits into a much broader argument that state machinery is actively being used to suppress basically anyone who steps out of line. Opposition party MPs face intense pressure from investigative agencies like the ED and CBI, which leads to fractured parties. Independent creators find their content mysteriously blocked. In fact, the source notes their own videos critiquing politicians were restricted in India. Furthermore, citizen protesters, whether they're raising voices for Ladakh or the environment, are routinely dismissed as foreign or Chinese agents. It paints a stark picture of a system that is deeply intolerant of opposition, no matter how small or satirical it might be.
Section 5. Power of Decentralized Movements. But despite this heavy-handed suppression, the story of the Cockroach Janta Party isn't entirely over. So the crucial point is the source's theory on how to actually overcome censorship. The creator points out that with over 20 million followers, the power isn't really with the creator anymore, it's with the crowd. If those millions of citizens just acted independently, say by simply changing their profile pictures to the CJP logo and posting the demands themselves, top-down state censorship would become completely useless. Think about it. You can block one central account, sure, but you cannot realistically block 20 million individual citizens who are all advocating for the exact same cause simultaneously.
Which leaves us with this final profound thought to consider. The CJP started as a joke, it became a threat, and it was suppressed. But it revealed an incredible blueprint. What happens if a digital movement truly decentralizes? If the youth suddenly realize that their collective, uncoordinated action is completely immune to traditional crackdowns, how will the establishment maintain control? It's an absolutely fascinating shift in the dynamics of power, and one that will undoubtedly shape the entire future of digital activism. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and definitely keep your eyes on how these digital spaces continue to evolve.